Welcome back to the Classic Soap Operas podcast. Today, we're heading back to January 22nd, 1985, for the next episode in the Recap Archive series of Days of Our Lives. Let's dive in.
Okay, let's unpack this deep dive. You've dropped us right into a very specific moment in time from the past, a single day captured in the source material, January 22nd, 1985, from, well, the classic show, Days of Our Lives.
It really is like looking through a window into one packed day in Salem.
Yes.
And our mission here, using your material, is really to walk you through exactly what unfolded.
Right.
We're going to pull out the key moments, the conflicts, the surprising turns, basically explain it so vividly, scene by scene, character by character, that you feel like you watched it yourself.
Think of it as us being your guide for this particular day. What were the big dramas? Who was scheming? Who was struggling? And who maybe showed some unexpected kindness? It's January 85, and things are, well, as always in Salem, pretty complicated.
Let's jump right into the first major thread from this episode, a real classic soap opera setup. A romantic scheme that immediately feels like it's going to backfire. We open with Calliope, and it's obvious she is just beside herself.
Oh, she's in full meltdown mode, definitely. Reaching for a strawberry soda instead of coffee. I mean, that tells you everything, right? Deep distress. And it's all about Eugene.
Exactly. Their relationship isn't working because he's dating someone else now, Janice.
And Calliope sees Janice as, like, the ultimate rival.
Yeah.
Beautiful, sophisticated.
Refined, yeah. Calliope's really fixated on the details, like Janice taking dance classes with Eugene.
With white gloves.
With white gloves. That little detail, it just paints this picture of the perfection Calliope feels she's up against. She's genuinely terrified she's losing him for good.
So she's venting all this to her friend Liz.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out Liz, along with Eugene's mother, Vanessa Van Kessler, have actually been trying to set Eugene up.
Actively trying, yeah. Liz tried once before, it didn't work out, so now they're like regrouping, strategizing again.
Which leads to Liz's, well, truly audacious idea, the kind you pretty much only find in Salem. Calliope should ditch her own identity and pretend to be someone else. Entirely Tiffany Murray Collingwood for a blind date Vanessa's setting up for Eugene.
It's completely wild.
Okay, now this is where the plotting really kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
Liz gets Vanessa on the phone, and you hear her just selling this Tiffany as the absolute perfect girl for Eugene.
Mm-hmm. And she suggests Vanessa meet Tiffany first, at Liz's club. Vanessa agrees, even mentions that her previous attempts haven't felt quite right.
So it's the perfect setup, really. Unwittingly walking right into the deception.
Totally. So the meeting happens at the club. Vanessa meets Tiffany, who is, of course, Calliope in disguise, just playing this part to the max.
And that on thick.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Sophisticated from Charleston, houses in Paris and New York, an uncle who's a senator.
Wow.
You name it. And while it works, Vanessa is totally impressed. She does mention she hasn't heard of the Collingwood family, which is like a tiny little warning sign.
A little crack, yeah.
But she brushes past it. And the key thing, Vanessa is so taken, she invites Tiffany to dinner with Eugene that night.
Tonight.
Okay. And Calliope, as Tiffany, just jumps at it. Enthusiastically accepts. So you think, okay, scheme is a go.
But then we see Eugene's side, and his reaction throws a wrench in things.
Right. His mother tells him about the date, and he's immediately annoyed, resistant.
He wants to pick his own dates.
Exactly. He doesn't want to be set up. He absolutely refuses to go out. He only agrees, sort of grudgingly, for Tiffany to come over to his place.
Which makes the whole disguise thing even harder, presumably, more risky.
Definitely. So the date happens at Eugene's apartment. Calliope arrives as Tiffany, and the initial interaction is, well, it's awkward, obviously.
Sure.
But there's also like a spark, a connection forming. He offers her wine. He even calls her charming.
Okay, so it's not a total disaster initially.
Not at all. And then comes this great moment where Calliope's true self kind of peeks through. She pulls candles out of her purse for a romantic dinner.
Candles from her purse. That sounds like Calliope.
It totally does.
Yeah.
And Eugene is surprised, but he actually says it reminds him of a friend.
Oh my gosh. He means Calliope.
He means Calliope, but he has absolutely no idea. They dim the lights, and this, unexpected charm starts to work.
But the real crisis for Calliope comes after the date, right?
Yes. She's talking to her friend, probably Liz again, and she's just devastated. And you think, why?
Because it worked.
It worked too well. Eugene actually liked her as Tiffany. She says he was all over her like a cheap suit. The deception succeeded, but now she's dealing with the fact he was attracted to the fake her.
Oh, that's rough. And Eugene confirms it.
He does. He talks to Liz later and just raves about Tiffany. She's really wonderful. Something has that, je ne sais quoi pas. He calls her very, very special.
So the scheme basically created a whole new problem. He's falling for the disguise.
Precisely. And the irony just hits its peak when Eugene, completely oblivious, suggests he should arrange for Tiffany and Calliope to meet. He thinks they'd really like each other.
Oh, no. What does Liz do?
Liz naturally shuts that down fast, tells him, he needs to get to know Tiffany better first, don't rush things.
Smart move.
But it leaves Liz and Calliope in a really tight spot. Their plan to maybe make Eugene jealous or Miss Calliope has, spun out of control. They realize they are seriously in trouble.
Okay, stepping away from that romantic mess, let's shift gears. Another storyline unfolding, this time in a very different setting, Tony's penthouse.
Right. He gets home and finds Anna there with Jasmine right in the middle of a photo shoot.
And Tony's reaction is not good.
Not good is an understatement. He is furious. Immediately accuses Anna of invading Jasmine's home, trying to change her, even destroy her, by pushing her into the fashion world, taking away her innocence.
Whoa, strong words. How does Anna react?
Anna doesn't back down at all. She defends herself, saying, look, I'm just doing my job. We're business partners, remember? She points out he stands to make money if Jasmine's successful.
Turning it back on him.
Yeah, and she accuses him of not actually caring about the money, but really of hurting Jasmine. But then she goes deeper. She really cuts to the heart of Tony's motivation. She tells him he's keeping Jasmine locked up in this penthouse fantasy world, not for Jasmine's sake, but because he's afraid to lose her. He resents anyone intruding.
So it's about his control? His fear?
Exactly. Anna says he's doing what's best for himself, not for Jasmine. It's a really sharp observation.
Does Tony acknowledge this?
Amazingly, yes. After Anna leaves, he talks to Jasmine and actually admits it. He says Anna's right. He has been trying to keep her locked up. And then he tells Jasmine she has the freedom to do whatever she wants, including the photo shoots. It's a big moment of honesty for him.
That's huge. How does Jasmine respond?
Her response is fascinating, really revealing about her character. She decides she doesn't want to take more pictures.
No, because he told her she could.
Not exactly. She says it's because she sees the sadness in his eyes when he gives her permission. She puts his feelings, his happiness, ahead of maybe doing the shoot herself.
Huh. So it's still about him, in a way, but it's her choice based on reading him.
Precisely. She explains it herself. She does things to please Tony because making him happy makes her feel good. She feels Anna just doesn't get that, thinking she's just, passively obeying him.
That shows a surprising kind of agency, actually, even if it revolves around him.
It really does. And Tony is clearly moved by this. He praises her for standing up to Anna, calls her a rare person because her instinct is to want to make others happy. He sees it as her unique kindness, not just submission.
So where does that leave him?
They have this quiet conversation afterwards, talking about love, about confusing wants and needs. Tony says he doesn't want to rush things, wants her to understand her feelings when they, arrive.
Mm-hmm.
So this thread ends with Tony sending her off to bed, just reflecting on how unique Jasmine is. It's this complex mix of deep affection, protection, but also that undercurrent of control rooted in his fear. Love, but complicated.
Definitely complicated. Okay, let's shift again now to a storyline that feels much more grounded in everyday struggles. Money, morality, and maybe some unexpected connection.
Yeah, this involves Ivy, her brother Speed, and Speed's friend PJ. They show up at Ivy's place with groceries, specifically expensive steaks.
And right away, that's a red flag for Ivy.
A big one. She's immediately worried about the cost. They clearly can't afford steaks like that. Speed is really vague about where the money came from, says PJ loaned it, or maybe some magic trick. It sets up this immediate financial tension.
And we find out Speed's focus is all about money, right? Because of a lawsuit.
Exactly. There's a lawsuit against Dr. Horton concerning their father's death, and Speed is completely fixated on getting rich from it. He's even hired a lawyer, Gwen Davis, basically to dig up dirt on Dr. Horton. He sees this lawsuit as their big break, their ticket out.
But Ivy and PJ aren't really on board with his attitude.
Not at all. They challenge him. Does he even care if Dr. Horton might be innocent? Does the actual loss of their father mean anything beyond the potential payout?
How does Speed react to that?
He gets defensive, bitter. Feels like he's been stepped on by rich people his whole life, and this is his one shot. He gets angry, even storms out for a bit. It's clear he only sees the money.
What's Ivy's take on it all?
She tells PJ later that, her father's death means a lot to her, of course. But no amount of money can bring him back, and making someone pay isn't the most important thing. And crucially, she shows this empathy. Speed totally lacks. She acknowledges Dr. Horton is just a person who might have made a mistake.
That's a really different perspective. Does PJ defend Speed at all?
He tries a little bit, suggests that maybe Speed's focus on money, even if it looks greedy, is his way of trying to make sure Ivy will be taken care of.
Maybe. And then Ivy shares some news that contrasts sharply with Speed's whole lawsuit plan.
Right. She reveals she's gotten a job at Walker's Market, just to make the rent.
So practical action versus scheming.
Exactly. And it means putting her dream of beauty school on hold. It's a real personal sacrifice she's making out of immediate necessity.
And PJ's reaction to this news is pretty telling, isn't it?
It really is. He praises her, calls her smart, says she has a pretty big heart, and he nails something core about her. She sees a problem and she acts. She doesn't just worry or scheme, she just goes and does it.
That seems key to her character. We also find out she has plans for tonight.
Yeah, a little glimmer of something nice amidst all the stress. She's looking forward to a dinner date with PJ, something they'd already planned.
Okay, so this brings us to Ivy, actually, at her new job at Walker's Market.
And this is where that pretty big heart PJ mentioned really comes into play almost immediately.
What happens?
Ivy spots a young woman we learn. Her name is Mary shoplifting, stealing strawberry jelly.
Oh, wow. Does she turn her in?
No. That's the thing. She doesn't report her. Instead, she intervenes, talks to her.
And find out what's going on?
Yeah. Mary's story is heartbreaking. She's a runaway from Ohio. Her purse got stolen on the bus. She has zero money. She's staying at the YWCA trying to find a job. And this was her first time shoplifting just because she was hungry and desperate.
Oh, man. How does Ivy react to that?
With just incredible, immediate empathy. She doesn't just let her keep the jelly she took. She actually offers Mary a place to stay. At her own apartment.
Seriously. A complete stranger.
Yep. She tells Mary she knows what it's like to be down, on the streets. And she can tell Mary isn't used to this life. She even makes this little comment about how she always brought strays home when she was a kid. It's just who she is.
Wow. Does Mary accept, trusting a stranger?
She's hesitant, naturally. But given her situation, she feels she can't really trust her friends or family right now. So she decides to take a chance on Ivy's kindness. It's a real leap of faith.
So Ivy takes her back to her apartment.
Yeah, she brings her back, points out the building has thick walls, makes it feel hidden and safe, shows her the spare room, tries to make her feel comfortable.
And then Ivy just leaves for her date. With a runaway stranger in her apartment.
Pretty much. She makes sure Mary is settled and then heads out for her date with PJ. It really shows her balancing her own needs and commitments with this extraordinary act of kindness.
That's really something. And we see her with PJ again.
Yeah, just briefly talking about their dinner plans. PJ actually suggests maybe staying in, perhaps sensing everything that's happened.
But Ivy wants to go out.
She insists, reminds him, "You promised me dinner out," playfully asks if he's backing out. It feels like she really needs that bit of normalcy, that proper date, that connection.
Absolutely. So looking across these different storylines from just this one day, what really stands out?
Well, you've got these elaborate deceptions, like Calliope's whole Tiffany thing, but they're tangled up with real feelings, which just makes everything messier.
Right. And then there's that intense dynamic of power and control, like with Tony and Jasmine, how they see their relationship versus how someone like Anna sees it from the outside. It's complex.
Definitely. And then you have the stark contrast in how people deal with hardship. Speed's bitterness and focus on the lawsuit money.
Compared to Ivy,
who takes practical action, makes sacrifices, and then performs this just incredible unprompted act of kindness for a total stranger, even when she's struggling herself.
It's remarkable how much drama, how many different kinds of human experience are packed into just this single day in the source material. You really get that density of the storytelling.
Yeah, it makes you think about how differently these characters react under pressure. Some manipulate, some withdraw, and some, like Ivy, respond with this surprising generosity.
Exactly. So what does this one episode, this one snapshot suggest about these characters in their world? With so many secrets floating around, hidden motives, people acting under duress or in disguise. What does it say about trust and honesty?
That's the core question, isn't it? How do all these threads, the deception, the control, the kindness, the desperation, how do they tangle together? And given how deeply intertwined all their lives are.
You have to wonder.
Yeah, you have to wonder how long any of this can possibly hold. How long before the secrets unravel, the true feelings clash with the fake personas, and everything just kind of explodes. It leaves you thinking about the fallout that must be coming.
That's a wrap for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and like and comment for more episodes like this. Thanks for listening.